Will Mason here at the Demo Lab, joined today by my friend Phillip Blevins from Carver, Commodore, right here in Birmingham, Alabama. Phillip, how are you doing today, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. We're checking out a cool new Overdrive pedal that we just got in. This is the Walrus Audio Ages. Tell us a little bit about this pedal and kind of your first impressions as you've been testing it out.
Yeah, first impressions, I didn't want to put it down. So I played with it for a few hours straight yesterday, demoing it, and I still want to keep playing it now.
That's a good sign.
I love the color. I love the build quality. The switch in particular is really nice because it's a soft switch. You don't have to stomp so hard to turn the pedal on, which I really like if you're going from a clean tone to a distorted tone and you're relying on that channel switching ability.
It's kind of important.
Exactly, yeah. You want to be able to make it fast. The different modes are very versatile. The EQ is very active. And all around, I just really enjoy all of the different sounds and settings that I've been able to achieve out of it.
Very cool. Yeah, and we've been talking about it, and this, anytime there's a new Overdrive pedal, it's hard to get excited about it, It's like, what are we going to do new with Overdrive? But this really sounds like an amp. And so we're going to be playing it through a clean amp today, and everything you're hearing, we'll switch back and forth so you can hear this at home, but everything that you're hearing in terms of Overdrive is coming out of the pedal, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about this amp. This is what you play on the road with the band? Yeah.
Yeah, very clean. This is a Super O Jupiter. I believe discontinued now, but it's similar to Deluxe Reverb with a little bit more mid-range. Great pedal platform. I use it to stack overdrives, fuzz, and since it doesn't have a distortion channel built in, I rely on pedals to get my gain sounds. So this already was just very impressive when playing our own music and hearing what that could sound like through a pedal rather than a cranked amp.
Right.
We don't usually have the ability to crank an amp up to distortion levels, playing small clubs and stuff. So having this in my arsenal is a great tool.
That's cool. Yeah, that reminds me of, I used to play through a Fender Super Reverb. It was 100 watts of clean power, and you would not hear any, inkling of breakup until everyone's ears were bleeding.
Oh my gosh.
And then you weren't even sure if it was breakup from the amp or from your broken eardrums
at
that point. And when I first got a Tube Screamer, it was like game-changing. It's like, whoa!
That's
this is
the sound.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really cool. We're going to talk through kind of what the knobs do, and then talk about these stages here and let you hear what the pedal sounds like. But first of all, we have the volume knob. No surprises there, but because we're using this through a clean amp, we have tons of headroom, and the volume knob really makes a big difference. And you can tell if you're stacking pedals, that's really going to be a way for you to push whatever's after it in the chain. The second knob, we'll explain more what that means later, but is the dry knob. It essentially blends in a dry signal of your guitar into the chain. And then we have gain, which is what you all think of as gain, just how much clipping we're applying to the signal. We have bass, which is cool. The way they've done the bass is before the gain part of the circuit, and so it becomes really usable, and you can really tell what's going on as you're adjusting the bass knob. And not only can you pull stuff out with the bass, but you can actually add more to the signal, which we were saying is like...
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
And I feel it resonating with the amp too, which with a pedal, I feel like I normally... feel the difference, but I really do when you crank the low end up on it. It's like an extension of my amp rather than just kind of like adding to it,
Yeah, that's cool. And that's like, a lot of overdrive pedals, it feels like you're totally changing the flavor. And, this is just so transparent that it sounds like you're just, adding to what's already there. And then we have the mode setting, and there's 5 different modes that we'll talk about here in a minute. And last but not least, the treble, which again, like the bass, is very usable. You can definitely, it's musical, it adds a lot as you're boosting it, and of course it cuts as you turn it down, but it's very usable. In fact, all the way up is still not overly brittle or bright like you get out of some pedals where it's just not in the territory of something you would actually want to mess with. So it takes other guitars well. We'll play through a Tele here in a little bit. And right now, what are you playing through, right?
This is a Reverend Roundhouse.
Roundhouse, yes.
I've been thinking of the movie all afternoon for some reason.
Yeah.
But this is a great humbucker style guitar here. I love the way that this guitar is playing too. It feels fantastic. Super lightweight. The neck is awesome. And I think it just sounds great through this pedal. Nice and chunky, heavy kind of stuff that I'm getting right here. But it also cleans up nicely too, especially on these low gain modes.
Yeah.
as you'll hear in a second.
For sure. And we have a demo up of the Reverend Roundhouse, so you can go check that out on our YouTube channel as well, and learn more about the specific in and outs of that guitar. So let's talk about the different modes here, and to do that, they've sent us some great information in the box. And speaking of the box, this is like everybody's favorite part, right? Unboxing new gear. And they've done such a great job, and it seems silly, but it feels good.
That's very nice.
It's got like a satin kind of thing going on here. It's like opening something from Apple. You know, they care about things like details. And so as we open it up, we have some cool messaging and graphics here on the inner flap. And we've got the bag that it came in, and this is the info card, and then you've got a sticker and a pick and a business card as well. So great stuff from Walrus Audio. Love that company. And this is the description of all these different modes. And so we're going to start on the first mode and just kind of talk through, and you can tell us what you're hearing and play some stuff. But this first mode is going to be a low gain mode, and it's using symmetric silicone soft clipping. So it's giving you a little bit of that compressed sound, still very smooth. And I'll sit over here and kind of play with the settings so we can get some different. Sounds awesome. So let's hear what that sounds like without the pedal on. Yeah, so all of that's coming out of the pedal. I mean, the amp is amazing. Straight up clean. It is really great. So that's that first mode. And let's try blending in some of this dry signal and seeing what that does to the sound, just so we can kind of give an idea of what that does.
Oh, I'm just going to play the same riff again. So with dry all the way down, we're just hearing the pedal, and this is like a blend knob, essentially. Right. So as we're turning dry up, we're putting more of the dry signal back in. And so you start to get a little bit more articulation and punch and kind of transients pushing through. Yeah. Because you otherwise are having that like compression sort of taking over, so it kind of cuts through the mix a little bit more maybe? Yeah, absolutely. Just a sense of clarity, I think, to the pedal overall. And it's at your discretion as well. You know, you can add as little or as much as you want, right? You know, which is super cool that you have that flexibility. Very cool.
Well, let's check out the second mode. So this one's going to be low gain still, but now this is an LED diode or LED in the signal. So let's check that out and see how it sounds different. They describe this one as being pushed, open, and sparkly. Let's see what we hear.
Maybe it's an opportunity to try one of my songs out.
Let's hear some Carver Commodores. Yeah, man. Nice. Wow. I dig that riff. Sounds huge. I mean, it really has like an openness on the high end. You know, it's not overly compressed yet at this stage because it's still on that low gain part of the circuitry, but it sounds really good.
Yeah, it really feels like I'm playing through a different amp now. I mean, going from this first mode to the second mode, there's such a big difference in the tonality. So I'm really digging this.
Cool. Yeah, and you know, if you're going to be buying an effects pedal, or if you're going to be buying an overdrive pedal specifically, you probably already have one, so you may be kicking something else off your board, and so there's got to be a really good reason to do that. And I think having these 5 distinct modes that really do something different is kind of a big selling point that I think a lot of people are talking about, maybe making a trade, making some space on their board. So you may see some of your favorite Overdrive pedals on the used market pretty soon. It may be hard to catch up with one of these. But let's check out the third position. So now we're moving into the high gain mode, and we're going back to a silicone circuit. So let's check this out. This thing sounds so good. And really, like, as you go through the range of the gain, I mean, it really responds a lot like an amp.
It does.
You're starting off just like with a little bit of crunch, and then all the way to this more saturated tone and everything in between.
Yeah.
And like you said, each time we switch modes, it's like we're switching amps almost. So there's a lot going on inside this little box.
Yeah. There's so much response to, like, as I'm playing, I feel like it's picking up a lot of the picking dynamics as well, which sometimes don't come through as well on certain overdrive pedals. You know, everything just gets kind of squashed. But with this, I feel like it's just reacting, like you said, as an amplifier would.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And then we're going to go to the fourth setting. And this one, it starts to get a little bit louder. I've noticed, like, the fourth one's kind of the loudest of the group, just in terms of raw volume. And this is a high gain mode, now back to the LED. Soft clipping still, but it's going to be really saturated, yet punchy and big. And it's still pretty tight. Like, that's one of the things, too. It's not, like, loose and floppy like you get. Like, I have a Fender style amp that's got kind of a floppy sound when you get into more of the compressed sound. But this maintains kind of a tight low end especially. So great for chunky stuff and palm muted power chords and that kind of thing, but also for just open rock stuff.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely noticed what you're talking about with the bass knob there. As I'm turning that up, I'm feeling it coming through the amp differently, which is really cool. Gosh, this thing sounds so good. And again, that's just the pedal. Like, if you play that same riff, drop D, this is what we're working with as far as the amp itself. Nice. I probably should hit that on the downbeat for you. Gosh, man, that sounds so good. And then last but not least, we have the fifth mode, which is the high gain, heavy compression. This is a silicone hard clipping mode. And so this gets into even more overdrive and compressed sound. And they describe it as being thick and chewy. So
we'll see what happens.
Whatever that means. Yes, let's do it. yeah, I think this is a must-have for sure. So we also wanted to check out what all of these sounds, or what this pedal can do with a single coil guitar. So I brought my telly in, so we can check out the bridge pickup of this guitar is going to be a single coil, so you can hear what that sounds like on some of these settings, and it's really cool. Let's check it out and see what.
We're just going to stay on the bridge pickup here too.
Yeah.
Since I think that's
the only one that's a single coil. Check it out.
Let's see, what mode are we in here?
We're still on the 5th one. You want me to switch up?
That's good.
Cool. I love that. It's getting really like gritty and snarly with that single coil thing going through it, and it just, again, like the articulation is there, the tone, like the high end is there. You have a ton of body, but it's still open and present, and even with all that saturation on. And I can just imagine stacking this with other overdrive, fuzz, distortion pedals would be really, really cool. I think you can get a lot of good results out of it by throwing it on your board. So
yeah, absolutely.
Really cool.
Very limitless possibilities here, and a lot of fun. I would really enjoy messing around with this pedal and other pedals in the chain just to see what would happen. You know, it's an item that has excited me, and I can't say that a lot of overdrive pedals do that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, anytime I go visit Walrus Audio, their booth at the NAMM show, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, because there's so many pedal dealers there and pedal manufacturers, and you go around, you play everything. You're like, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. But at the Walrus booth, I end up spending more time there than I do at some of the other ones because it inspires me. I start playing something, I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then you can tell it's something that needs to be a part of your rig when you find yourself creating with it. You know, like, oh, I'm like making up a riff or something that you wouldn't have maybe come up with it without it. And so that's really what gear is all about, is kind of inspiring creativity and getting new ideas and sounds out there for other people to hear and just for your own enjoyment. So
absolutely.
Very cool. The Walrus Audio Ages with the mammoth, the woolly mammoth on the front with 3 trunks and 4 tusks. You do not want to mess with him, for sure. Dude, thanks so much for being here. This is super fun to have you back in. Phillip's usually on the other side of the glass in the recording studio engineering for us, and we love having you here and appreciate you being part of this. And for those of you watching at home, make sure that you like and subscribe and drop us a comment. Let us know what you think about this pedal. Is it worth kicking something off of your board? And if so, what are you going to get rid of? And let us know. And if you have any requests for what you want us to demo next, we're always up for ideas. So until next time, I'm Will Mason here with Phillip Blevins in the Demo Lab. Rock on.